Aloha and welcome to this episode of Faith and Family First. I'm your host, Eva Andrade. I am here with Marcus Oshiro, and we are going to be stepping slowly into the opening of the legislative session, which is going to happen next week. The legislative session opens. What are we looking at? What are some of the things that could be attacking our youth, which is why we talked about family last week. So if you want to know what we're looking at for the upcoming legislative session, let's chat about that. Hi, Marcus.
Hi, Eva. Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year for the third time. Hey, so the legislative session is opening like right around the corner.
January.
If you were still in office, what would you be doing 1 week before opening of the legislature?
I would.
So what are legislators doing?
Right now, they're getting ready and looking at bills and looking at proposals, talking to constituents, talking to directors, talking to different leaders of organizations, not-for-profits, advocacy groups, finding out what people want and hearing from these different constituencies, and also meeting amongst themselves as they design the priority bills for the 2026 session.
So you and I had a conversation with our director/producer, Reagan, who was talking about ideas about fireworks.
Yes.
Right. And so we were encouraging her to, because it was a conversation not so much about what not to do or what they should do. She was actually kind of thinking, is there a compromise on the issue of fireworks? And you and I were both encouraging her to go talk to her legislator. So why don't you start with that? Because I think that's a good way to show people that you don't just have to go to the legislature and yell at them about a bill.
Oh, no. These are ideas of how to go and safely have aerial fireworks. There might be a way. I don't know if there's a way, but there might be a way. And you sit down and you talk to your lawmaker.
Well, what was her suggestion? Because it was an outside of the box suggestion.
Maybe there's a way of regulating and therefore training and certifying the users of these
for the people that like to do the big bomb.
Yeah, if you want to do those big, spectacular, beautiful fireworks aerials that are currently illegal right now.
Yeah,
illegal. But to make them legal, you need to be trained. You need to be certified, maybe bonded,
like they're doing with gun ownership here in Hawaii, right?
Similar idea.
So you want to own this dangerous thing, then you need to go through training, and you want to use it, right?
Yeah, you need to be qualified to possess it,
right? Yeah. Which would mean that in order for a person to pop these big type of fireworks, they would have to, first of all,
you need a background check.
You would need a background check, right?
So you know what that means.
That means we'd still have 4 people in the entire state of Hawaii who would. But that means, though, is that they would be, because they're licensed now to do it, they would know how to do it properly. And the things like no drinking while you're using it, right? I mean, there'd be all kinds of hoops they'd probably have to
don't do it in
through.
a residential area with high rises, right?
Yeah. And we're not pushing this idea. What we're saying is that it was such a great discussion with her because it's a way to build relationship with your legislator, to go in and, hey, I'm paying attention to this issue that is affecting the community. Yeah. And I'm just thinking of this idea. What that does is, I believe, it puts arsenal into the hands of legislature. No pun intended. Nothing that's going to cause a bomb or anything like that. But what it will do is have them, it just gives them things to think about when they're in meetings.
I appreciate her comments, her ideas, her suggestion. I think, and I would encourage her even more so, contact your legislator, whoever he or she might be, House or Senate member, and see if you have a conversation with them.
Yep. Now, if you go to hawaiifamilyforum.org right now, we're running a voter voice campaign to allow you to make contact with all of your legislators. You don't even have to know who they are. You're just log in, and then the system's going to tell you who your governor is. So you could do this from Florida. You could do this from anywhere, and you'll be plugged in to your local family policy council but we're talking to Hawaii residents right now. Yeah. You'll be able to send an aloha message to governor, to your representative on Congress level, and your senator on Congress level, and your House and Senate member right here locally. And why we're doing this is to get you to build that relationship with your legislator before there's any critical bills at the legislature. It allows you to check to make sure that your address is correct, that you put in your cell phone number, because we want to start sending out alerts via text. So it's going to give you that opportunity to do that. So go to hawaiifamilyforum.org right now and make sure your information is correct and send that message. Marcus, when a legislator gets a piece of email or a phone call at the beginning of session, how do legislators feel about that? Do you think they look at it? Do they care?
They do. I believe they do. Whether you get an email or you get a phone call
or a visit with omiyage,
or you get a visit with omiyage, which is some kind of gift expression of aloha, like a box of malasadas, box of donuts.
That light that we talked about on the last show. Take Christ's light into that Capitol building. Because trust me when I say that the Capitol needs that light in there every day.
It can sometimes be very dark and gloomy. Believe me, I was there. Okay.
Yes.
No, but I think they want to hear from the constituents and their ideas and have a relationship. It's a two-way street to have a relationship. And this being an all-important election year, it's even more important to develop relationships with your constituents, your voters. Because they're going to eventually grade you, pass or fail, come November of 2026.
That's right. I always tell people it's a report card.
Yeah, right.
So when you're watching what they're doing, the legislature, because at the end of session, you got to give them a grade. Right. And pass means they get your vote.
They get their vote. Fail
means they don't.
You don't get your vote.
That's right. That's right. And we have to do this because we want to be fair and open. That now's the time that if you're thinking about running for office, now's the time to do it, because in the middle of January, the Office of Elections opens up the candidate registration, right?
That's right.
So if you're thinking about, hey, I might run for office. If you're a Democrat, then reach out to the Democratic Party. If you're a Republican, reach out to the Republican Party and say, hey, I want to run. And then call Marcus Oshiro.
Wait. We'll start with the last thing you just said. Don't call me. But I want to correct one statement you made. There is no need to get approval from a political party, whether it's the Republican Party of Hawaii or the Democratic Party of Hawaii, for their approval to run as a Democrat or a Republican. That's a decision that you yourself make personally, where you see yourself philosophically, where you see yourself regarding a particular party's platform or mission statement. That's your decision. And that's already been contested and disputed and litigated. So it's your decision if you want to run as a Republican or a Democrat. That's your choice.
Yes. So I wasn't. Yeah. So thank you for that, because I definitely wasn't saying you need permission. What I was saying is you want to reach out to the party for help or maybe training or maybe just as a courtesy. So that they know that you're running. I mean, I know that there's all kinds of politics behind that.
I think in Hawaii, because we're such a blue state, really a blue state, I think most of the, there's only a handful of Republicans, right?
Yeah.
In the state Senate, I think there's 2 of them, right?
There's 2 and then 6.
Well, there's 3.
Oh, there's 3. That's
there's
right. 3 in the Senate and 6 not more
8,
than 8. Yeah, there's
8 in the
House. See, I'm before my time.
So it's really a minority group of political representatives under the Republican banner. But again, if you choose to, whichever way, I just encourage people. Number 1, register to vote. Okay?
Oh yeah, yes.
Number 2, vote. Right. And number 3, if you're going to run for office, run from a community that you connect with, that you grew up with, you feel some relationship with, the issues, the demographics, you love the land, but I think those are all good things to always challenge the status quo. Yeah. And make it better.
Yeah. And you know what? If you want to stick your toe in the water, but you don't want to do the whole then go for city council or even your neighborhood board.
Neighborhood board is a great place.
Just to see, if this is something that you want to do. I think that there are a lot of good people out there, Marcus, that would be great legislators, even on the neighborhood level.
Yeah, I believe so. They're out there, and especially we talked about the generations last time.
Yes.
So if those, not baby boomers, but Generation Z, Generation X, and Generation Alpha
Yeah. Well,
Right.
they're real little. They're like 13.
Okay,
and
but
younger in them. But
when
yes.
when they turn 16,
But it's never too late to train people. We are celebrating 250 years in the United States
That's
of
right.
America. We're going to be. See, I'm still wearing my red, white, and blue ring.
That's from your last show. You've been wearing
That's
that
I've
all
been
this
wearing.
time.
I'm going to wear it every day. You guys are going to see it this whole year because we're
Okay.
celebrating. You got to serve your country. You know, bring your gifts to the Capitol buildings,
Yeah.
man. I think it's time. We've got a lot of good men and women who have been on the sidelines for too long. Come out from the sidelines and run for office.
It's game time.
It's game time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last week we talked about the importance of the family, right? And so what do we see, or do we see anything like on the parental level that could be coming up this legislative session? I can tell you one off the bat, and I know that we've got viewers that are on both sides of this issue, but the issue of forced vaccinations and parental control on this, allowing the parents to decide when a child should be vaccinated or not. That's a big issue right now for some
Yeah, I
people.
think the issue that was teed up last year that was put aside because it was so controversial, it was so hot. It was an issue about deleting or removing the religious exemption for students to attend schools, both public and private schools. The religious exemption to say, for religious reasons, I choose not to vaccinate my child.
Now, but there's stuff happening on the national level, though, that is affecting that, right? I mean, didn't Kennedy just recently say something about vaccinations?
Well, I think he rolled back the schedule of mandating or requiring certain types of MMR vaccinations in one dose, or whether it's going to be a series of doses. There's also the vaccine issue that basically made it discretionary at the onset of the birth of the child, maybe 30 days, 40 days out, to give them the hepatitis B vaccination. But the issue in Hawaii is just the overall religious exemption that last year the governor and the Department of Health Director Kenny Fink was trying to get approved and passed. And it's extraordinary to take away the religious exemption of any religious belief.
Well, I tell you what,
You know.
there's if you look at what could potentially be on the horizon when it comes to parental rights and our Constitution, we've got a couple of issues. So Civil Beat just recently did an article saying now that on the issue of marijuana, they want to put that on the Constitution. So they want to give the people the right to decide if marijuana should be. Now, what makes that? I mean, who in their right mind thinks that smoking marijuana should be a constitutional issue? I don't know.
Well, I think I read the same article. I think the chair from the Big Island, and I think his idea was that we'll let the people decide. He called it for what it is. He said it's a punt. P-U-N-T.
Oh,
It's
sure.
a punt. It's a punt.
They're doing a punctuous pilot move. They're washing their hands
Yeah,
of it because it's an election year, and they know that.
It's a punt.
Yeah.
And you know, the same way you're going to hear about people trying to punt to the voters. Oh, ultimate authority is given, delegated from the people to the legislators. Let the people decide. You know, that's you know, that's ridiculous on these public policy types of issues that most men and women, working people, families, you know, don't have the time to study in detail and really analyze the pros and cons of the issue.
Right.
Marijuana is one of them. Gambling is another one of them.
Well, yeah, but on the Constitution one, we're talking about the right to contraception and the right to reproductive freedom, which were also constitutional amendment discussions.
Yeah, those are really extraordinary because you're amending the Constitution to put into the Constitution fundamental rights, and it's really not necessary. In first instance, not necessary because Hawaii has a very liberal, accommodating, what do you call it, women's reproductive rights laws and rules and regs and accessibility. So that's not really being challenged, you know. But there's a minority group, that is seeking to amend the Constitution for for their purposes.
Yep.
But
Yep.
again, what I've talked about is I fear any constitutional amendment going to the voters because 9 out of 10 times it will be approved by the voters. And the
Yep.
reason why the initial hearing of the bill, if it passes the legislature, there's an presumption that it's legitimate.
Right.
There's some rhyme and reason.
Right.
There's some
Right.
good things, and my legislator wouldn't have passed it.
It
or
must
voted
be
for it.
safe. It must be good.
It must be safe. It must be good. It
Yeah.
must be righteous.
Yes. Yes. Because it's a right.
Yeah.
It's a right.
Yeah.
And people here in Hawaii
Yeah.
tend to get very nervous if you're saying you're going to take away somebody's
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
to do something.
And then so
Yeah.
it has all the right trappings. So what I tell people is
Yeah.
that it's better to go and defeat and fight and go all in stopping or killing a bad measure of a constitutional amendment before it gets approved. Because once it gets approved, it's harder because you have the media and you have the multinationals and you have a lot of rich people weighing in and buying ad space on radio, on TV,
Exactly.
on Facebook.
I don't know if you remember this or not, because you weren't in office yet, but when we were doing the same-sex marriage battle, so back in 1998, 1999, it was funny. When we passed the constitutional amendment in 1998, right, overwhelmingly, 70-something% of the people
Like 78%.
voted, right? You know what I remember the other side was saying at that time? You shouldn't legislate based on popular opinion. Now, this is what they were saying then.
Right.
But the pendulum has now swung in the other direction. And so now suddenly it's okay to legislate based on popular opinion. And the thing about popular opinion is that it changes.
It changes.
And it doesn't necessarily make it right.
That's right. And I think the pendulum primarily for these constitutional amendments regarding reproductive rights or access to reproductive care and gender affirming care, the list goes on. Yeah. No, I think was those three, just those three on the physical body for the child or for the woman, is because it's a pendulum issue. It's because of what the federal government has declared through its emergency proclamations or its presidential proclamations regarding the policy in place, putting a pause on it. I think that's the reaction to it. The marijuana one is a punt.
Yeah.
I'm a former legislator. I was out there for 23 years. Okay, so I know what a punt is. I can recognize a punt, and that is a punt. That's not a play. That's a punt.
And that is legislators standing on the football field actually announcing, we are about to punt.
That's
no, really.
Right. Yeah,
that's
obvious,
how obvious
right,
it is.
It's all obvious.
Yeah.
The players.
Yeah.
The same thing with gaming. If there's going to be a gaming bill regarding, having a survey done or a questionnaire done, or I'm taking it to the voters.
That's right.
That's the same thing. It's a punt. And the dangerous thing about it is that it's going to develop inertia. It's going to move, and they're going to see a lot of money, multinational money. When I say multinational, I mean foreign money coming from outside the state, outside the country, to influence how the voters vote. And that's scary. Mm-hmm. So we need to stop
the
this.
legislators, in my opinion, they need to just do their job. If the legislature wants to legalize gambling for whatever reason, then they should go public with their vote and make their decision. Now, I don't want that to happen, but I would rather the legislature do their job than punt it to the people when really the people are going to be making a decision not with all the information.
Yeah, let's say they want to vote up for it. Let's say the majority of the legislators in the Senate and the House want to vote up for it. You need 26 out of 51 in the House. You need 14 of the 25 in the Senate. If they want to vote up for it, explain to me. And one of the questions you're going to ask you need to answer is that statistically, scientifically, the facts show that maybe 3 to 5% will become addicted, will become gambling, problem addicts. Then you ask yourself this question: what 3 to 5% or 3 to 5 constituents who I represent of the 100 am I willing to sacrifice so they become addicts? Okay, so they enter into bankruptcy, or they enter into a criminal element, okay, or they enter into delinquency.
Right.
3 to 5%. And, so you multiply that out and you tell me which citizens, which constituents you're willing to sacrifice,
and at what altar? I want to know that, all the money that these families are going to lose to get into bankruptcy, whose pocket is being lined by that money that they're losing. So you're taking my rent money, you're taking my grocery money, you're taking my medical bill money, and you're putting it basically in the pockets of DraftKings, MGM, and is that local?
That's FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, BetMGM, and
Auntie Maria Lanaquila's money is going to be lining their pockets.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be taken out of restaurants. It's going to be taken out of
mom and pop
shops. It's going to be taken off the racks at the surfboard rental in Waikiki.
Yeah, is it worth it to force Shiro's to close?
It's not worth it.
Is it worth to close? What was the name of the place we went?
Oh, Highway Inn.
Highway Inn. What about Highway Inn? What about Zippy's? Long's is now CVS, so it's not. The question is it worth it to us for these businesses to suffer?
I want the legislators to explain to me again. I go back to you. Tell me which ones you're willing to sacrifice. Because that's astounding that it's a public policy. Going in, X amount of people are going to be adversely affected. X amount of families will be adversely affected. X amount of lives will be affected. And we know that gambling addicts have the highest proportion of suicide over all addictions, more than alcohol, right? More than opiates. Okay.
The studies,
it's gambling.
Marcus, it's to me when you're looking at both gambling and marijuana, the studies that are coming out they're unquestionable that they hurt families, that they hurt our youth, that they hurt people who already are marginalized. Does anybody think for 1 minute that legalized gambling or marijuana, commercialized marijuana, is that really going to sow good seeds into our community or not? And it's not.
Yeah, it's like saying we want to have more tobacco use in Hawaii because tobacco is a great fundraiser for the state of Hawaii. It pays for education, health services, housing, homelessness. It's the same thing with liquor. Let's sell more liquor. Let's make more liquor available. Let's 24/7 liquor, right? All the time, okay? No, we don't do that because we know the harmful effects of these products.
Yep.
So we add friction, we curb it down, right? We ask for IDs, right? We limit the quantity of purchasing, the number of drinks you can have at a bar. We limit it because we know taken to the extreme, people
speed
will get
limit
hurt.
On the freeway,
right? It's not Autobahn, right?
Right. That's right.
Because we know that. So how can you go and allow something like marijuana to be recreational marijuana to legalize because everybody else is doing it? I mean.
Well, especially because a couple of the states, actually more than a couple, but right now you can look it up. There are a couple of states right now that are actually considering repealing their laws.
Yeah, because they've had the history. So Hawaii has to really understand the impact it'll have on the society. And today, they haven't figured it out how to keep it out of the hands of minors. Have we figured out how to keep tobacco out of the hands of minors or alcohol out of the hands of minors?
Well, the last I looked, we were off the chart on vaping.
That's right. So if we know that it's going to elementary schools, 5th, 6th graders are using, vaping devices, they have access to marijuana. What the heck are they thinking that you're going to be able to prevent more marijuana from getting into the hands of these young people? And this is powerful marijuana. This is not the marijuana of the 60s and 70s that maybe you and I had a puff on.
Well, but it brings up the good point that Reagan brought up about like fireworks, right? They're not legalizing fireworks so they can control it. They're adding penalties for use of the fireworks, illegal fireworks, right? So why would they try to do something totally opposite with something just as dangerous, in my opinion, because they could cause lives to be lost?
Yeah, I think that's the curiosity. But again, I think those are two easily no-brainer, garden variety. Just say no.
Okay.
Because the facts are not there. The science is not there. The evidence is not there. And I dare anyone. I challenge anyone. I don't want to challenge them anyway. I can.
Because it's all about kala.
Money.
It's
money,
all about kala.
money. Money.
That's right.
Money.
That's right.
And it's the love of money, not money itself,
Yeah,
but the love of money.
That's the
is
root of all evil. That's right.
Okay.
And really, that's it. I know. Okay, I'm going to try to be fair here, right? I get it that the legislature, and you were head of the finance committee. I know that when you're looking at the budget, you have to think about where is money going to come in, because money's going to be going out, right? So I get that they're trying to. I wouldn't go so far to say they're going to balance the budget, although I think you would give them credit for balancing the budget.
You have to balance the budget. At least on paper, it has to make sense. It has to pass muster. Okay,
Right. So they have to throw dollar signs in there. So gambling and marijuana tend to be easy. What they think is going to be easy money. But to me, is it worth all of the economic and the social evils that are going to come with it? I don't believe it.
There's no free lunch.
Yeah.
So you got to go and calculate that. We're already having problems with alcohol. We're having problems with tobacco. Okay. You want to add another vice?
Yeah, it's the backpack I told you about that we're putting on our kids that are so heavy and full of stuff.
Yeah.
Let's send our kids to school with marijuana in their backpacks and their gambling machines, and tell them, go have at it. This is going to strengthen your walk.
I feel for the teachers.
Yeah.
I feel that for the teachers.
Yeah.
On all the schools, public and private schools, I feel for the teachers, the counselors, the principals, the operators of the school. They're going to be the first ones to see the effects of these policies.
Yep. And you know what? It's interesting, because if you and I could be assured with 100% certainty that kids would not be harmed by the legalization of marijuana or gambling, I might be more open to a discussion on how to legalize it for adults. But the bottom line is, Marcus, I think it hurts adults just as much as it hurts kids.
It does. 18 and older, 21 and older are going to be affected. There's going to be 3 to 5% who are going to become addicted. And that's where most of the monies from DraftKings, FanDuel comes from. It comes from this small amount of users who are called addicts. And everything is geared towards addiction.
Yep.
The algorithms called artificial intelligence is geared to addict the user. And you're going to be using it on this phone.
Yep.
Not this phone per se, but a phone like this called an iPhone, a smartphone. And that's going to be the hook for this.
Yep. And they track you, like you said, artificial intelligence. They know you're on this app, and you're going to get the notification from the other app saying, "Oh, we miss you."
That's my Duolingo I have. It does matter to me.
Yeah. So, if we think that it's just going to be a fun thing that people are going to do in the privacy of their home, sure. There will be some people that are able to.
Yeah, they'll do it. They'll do it on the throne, and they'll do it in the shower because they can play with it 24/7.
And let's be honest, and you may be one of those people. You're going to be doing it at meetings. You're at a meeting. You're bored. You don't want to be there, and you're over here on your phone, looking like you're checking messages, but you're actually checking to see if
your bets.
Your bets and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I want people. Really going back to what we talked about bringing Christ, illuminating into the room. We want to make sure that we're present for people. We need to do less with this and do more with this. That's all I'm saying. So make sure that you stay tuned to the show, because Marcus and I, as we start moving through the legislative session, we're going to start getting more and more in detail. We'll try to have more guests so that the conversation is more interesting. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know every time we upload a new video, and make sure that you're not hearing this all day, because you notice it didn't win. And we're not going to gamble on Hawaii's families, because that's what's important to us. Mom, Dad, and our brother and sister, Keiki. Right?
We are our brothers and sisters' keeper.
We are. So we will see all of you next week. Mahalo, everybody.